Hello again, my friends. Well, here we are into October in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Springtime. Well, a lot of the time over this last couple of weeks you could have fooled us because it's been anything but lovely weather, anything but spring weather. But we know that spring is here. We know that it's going to come. And in fact, the bad weather we've been experiencing reflects a pretty awful experience that I've been having recently. And I want to share a little of that with you today. I had a routine operation, a total knee replacement. Because I suffer from having no pituitary gland, I became ill post-operatively, losing the level of my hydrocortisone. I collapsed, went into kidney failure, pituitary failure, and had to be transferred to our general hospital here in Wellington. I went on to become seriously ill and developed a clot in each lung. Because I then had to go into special medication to deal with those clots, I had a bleed into my newly operated knee joint. So things really went from worse to worse for quite some weeks, and I was seriously ill, and in fact it was touch and go on at least one occasion. It's been a tough time, obviously. The fight back to re-enter the stream of life has been a challenge, but it's also brought a time of a lot of reflection for me. All sorts of questions have arisen. Obviously I fought to survive. I come from part Scottish stock, and my Scottish cousins in Edinburgh tell me that must have stood to me. They're probably right. But why did I survive? And especially I can ask that question at the moment when just this last week we have had the most horrendous storms, earthquakes, tsunamis, all sorts of things around our world, and thousands of people have been killed, including very many young children. And I keep coming back to my experience over these last few weeks, since the middle of August and all through September. Why did I survive when I'm now into my twilight years? Seriously. My friends, there's no answer to that. I survived partly because I fought and chose to. I suppose I survived partly because of my own genetic inheritance. I survived because my time has not yet come, whatever that may mean. And it saddens me that so many people have died in our world, particularly children and young adults, so tragically. So the challenge is now not just to continue my recovery, but also to keep asking the question that my life here on this earth is still not over. So the challenge to me, as I see it, is to use that for a new kind of springtime. I started out this reflection talking about spring being here in our world, in our southern hemisphere. So I need to use the last years of my life as a kind of a springtime, I think. Not to take for granted that my life is over, because it ain't. It could have been, but it's not. So I have a sense of wanting to recommit myself to the spirituality that gets me out of bed every morning. That spirituality of prayer for all those people suffering and dying in our world, in companionship with Mary Potter, our founder, and out of that prayer, that sense of wanting to be there for those for whom I can be there. My friends, my family, people who come across into my world that I can support and be there for. And I have a new sense of commitment to that, just because I survived. And I call that, if you like, my own springtime, if you like. Yeah, well, what more can I say? I think it's probably enough to leave it there for now. I hope that my reflection with you today has helped some of you. You see, there's no reason why I have lived and others have died. I think Jesus told us that in the gospel, didn't he? When he talked about two women being in a field and one would be taken and the other one left. And he didn't give any explanation. So I just have to say that I have a sense that life is fragile, yes, but that it's also very precious, and that I can use it and use the talents that I have been given to carry on and be there for people, both in prayer and in care. Thank you for being with me today. Go well, go with your God.